One, and I'm joined by Mr. Tinashe Jonassi, President of Ideal Zimbabwe. How are you, sir?
As usual, a privilege to be on the life impacting and the most loved and watched platform in Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe media.
Thank you very much, sir. And I really enjoyed talking to you. And I'm sorry that we were not able to come yesterday or on Monday as planned due to electricity cuts on my side. So I'm very happy that you are here today. And we have a very interesting topic that we're talking about to do with the introduction of the National Youth Service. Did you see that yesterday?
Yeah, I think that is what is hot and driving very fast in the social media streets.
Okay, what are your thoughts on this program?
As a progressive Zimbabwean and the opposition leader, I think it was more like they were responding to my thinking. Last week I was thinking that after I had lunch with the ZANU-PF South Africa last week when they were doing their Herbert Chitepo School of Ideology virtual lectures, I thought if this Herbert Chitepo School of Ideology must be for every Zimbabwean who is even not from the ruling party, because our problem as opposition is that anything that is done by the government is a ZANU-PF thing. We don't know how to separate ZANU-PF and the government. ZANU-PF is mandated to foster and implement governmental projects. So, because the National Youth Service takes mostly 10-year-olds to 35-year-olds, I think for us who have expired from the National Youth Service, I think the National Youth Service must be mandatory, and the Herbert Chitepo School of Ideology must be mandatory to those who are 36 years and above.
Okay, let us quickly listen to the Minister of Information talking about the program. It will be about 3 to 4 minutes.
All right.
And I want us to go deeper after we listen to what she's going to say. So let's listen to what she's saying.
Okay.
Cabinet received a report on the National Youth Service Training Program. Cabinet considered and approved the re-establishment of the National Youth Service Training Program. This proposal was presented by the Minister of Youth, Sports, Arts and Recreation, Honorable Casey Coventry. The proposals came as a result of consultations between the Ministries of Youth, Sports, Arts and Recreation and Ministry of Defense and War Veterans Affairs. Cabinet noted that National Youth Service is a very important youth development program, which is crucial in nurturing young people in becoming responsible and resilient citizens with a clear sense of national identity and respect for national values. The program is a key strategy for youth empowerment in national, regional, continental, and international development ID frameworks to which Zimbabwe is a member. The frameworks include the SADC Revised Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan, also the African Youth Charter of 2006, and the World Program of Action on Youth, and finally on the United Nations Strategy 2030. The program is designed to equip youth who comprise persons between the ages of 18 and 35, equip them with patriotism, discipline, volunteerism, survival skills, hard work, loyalty, tolerance, resilience, determination, and honesty. During training, the youth will be encouraged to participate in development projects and disaster response activities, and thereby assist in enhancing national capacity to manage disasters. The Constitution of Zimbabwe Amendment number 20, that Act provides that all institutions and agencies of government at all levels must take reasonable measures, including affirmative action, to ensure that youth have access to appropriate education and training, that they participate in social, economic, in other spheres of life, and also that youth should be empowered and be protected from harmful practices, exploitation, and abuse. Cabinet further agreed that under the revamped program, vocational training centers across all the provinces will focus on entrepreneurship and livelihood skills training. These will encompass enterprise awareness, opportunity identification, project financing, and basic farming. The Civil Protection Unit will place emphasis on disaster mitigation and management skills. The rollout of the National Youth Service Program will involve community attachments of youth for work experience and service to various government departments and local authorities. Graduates of the program will qualify for further training, assistance in starting businesses, and for enrollment for careers in the police, the army, the air force, nursing, and teaching, among others. The program will also take on board the disabled, and it will certainly maintain gender balance and fair regional representation, with recruitment taking place through our district offices.
Right, Mr. Tinashe Jonassi, I think I have given everyone a chance to understand what this National Youth Service is going to be all about. And I want us to go into a lot of detail on this one, because a lot of people are afraid of the return of the National Youth Service. Do you understand why people are afraid of the return of the National Youth Service?
Yeah, those who are afraid, I really understand, because the previous administration, the First Republic, abused the noble idea, and the youth unleashed violence. It's known, and communities were left terrified and traumatized, and yeah. So those who are afraid, I understand it.
Okay, so do you think this kind of return of the National Youth Service has been done properly? Did the government consider what you're saying before they introduced this reintroduction?
Okay, I want viewers to understand I'm using my personal opinion. I'm not speaking on behalf of the government or on behalf of ZANU-PF, but as a citizen of Zimbabwe, I have confidence in this re-establishment of the National Youth Service. My confidence is stemming from the atmosphere that prevailed in the 2018 elections. I think it was violent. It was violent free. It was violence free, and I don't have a reason to think that the next edition, which is 2023, will be violence infested. But I think why this is a good cause, because the youth, for example, my heart is in pain if I think of Makomborero Aruzivishe. He is such a brilliant young man who is sacrificed by the words we are in a struggle, by the words power doesn't come on a silver platter. But those who announce the fights against ZANU-PF, against the state, they are in their houses enjoying televisions and everything, while the young man is in prison, and the time is coming back after 14 months, the ZANU-PF would be in power. So I'm wondering and shuddering to think what the sacrifice is all about. So I think the National Youth Service reintroduction came a bit late. People like Makomborero, Marco were supposed to benefit from it, but those who are not yet in prison must take the advantage and be reoriented and into national identity, patriotism, and leadership and development skills.
Okay, let's look at where these young people are going to be operating from. You heard the minister. they are going to be deployed in communities. Give me a bit more of your thoughts on that.
Okay, my thinking is, remember, anyone who is trained by the state, obviously you become the agent of the state. What I mean is, when these young people are trained, obviously we heard that the other part of their training, their module, is going to be conducted by the National Disaster Department, meaning they will know how to mitigate and how to in terms of, for example, cyclone. In a cyclone situation where there's urgent evacuation of children and the elderly. So actually their training is all about to equip, to protect the community. The second is also the ideology. Right now, we don't have one political language. Everything in Zimbabwe that is implemented by the government is considered to be a ZANU-PF. We are the only country that I know that rejects the government. So we had earlier today, I had the privilege to listen to Comrade Linda Masarira's interview with on the link with the brilliant Parenya Atwa. I forget the first name. You can remind me. Rufeneko. Rufeneko Parenya Atwa, where she said, yes, they were told when they were in MDC that don't apply for land because the Zunu Zvezano. But the same people who were leaders, like leader Tendai BT, they've got their own farms. But the youth were told don't apply for land. Zunu Zvezano. Yet the fear was if they got land and they can be productive, then maybe they might see the efficiency and the national service of the government. Probably they can vote for ZANU-PF. So that is the detrimental to development and the hatred. ZANU-PF is mandated to implement governmental programs. So you can't then hate the government of ZANU-PF, and then you don't have a choice. You have got to pay taxi, you have got to declare at the border and pay duty, you have got to apply for a passport, national ID, national birth certificate, driver's licenses. All these are given, issued by the government of Zimbabwe, land, everything. So we are, the youth in Zimbabwe are poor because they don't want to take advantage of the wealthy in Zimbabwe that is being implemented and being parceled out, like the mineral claims, mining claims, the land. All these things are implemented non-political, but the youth in the opposition, they don't want them. They are made to suffer so that the narrative is your suffering is going to end soon if you help us to remove the government outside of the elections, unconstitutional. And so the opposition, we are fashioning ourselves into an effective and true insurgents. Only that we are not armed like the insurgents in Mozambique, but the Zimbabwean opposition, we are in insurgents. That is poisonous. That is anti-Zimbabwe. And we are doing this because we are foreign funded and then we are foreign controlled. But we know that what we are doing is wrong, but because we accepted dirty money, we are. So I think the youth, the graduates must really go to the community and orient and instill that partisanship, that patriotism and national interest into the youth of Zimbabwe.
Okay. Let's go back to 2008.
Yes.
The national youths were given the name, the infamous name, Green Bomber.
Yes.
And they were known for violently attacking other people, community members.
Yes.
Do you think the government has thought about this and put in place safeguards to prevent the reoccurrence of what happened in 2008?
Okay. A brilliant question. I want viewers to know that violence in 2008, although maybe it was perpetrated by the so-called the infamous green bombers of that time, but the violence doesn't just come because there's a National Youth Service. If the government or the ruling party want to use violence as a weapon to retain power, no matter there is no graduates of National Youth Service, they can still use the police, they can use the Central Intelligence Organization, they can still use the army. So I'm trying to differentiate here that the National Youth Service must not be branded the unit as an entity of violence, but the National Youth Service, which in around 2008, it was an abuse of the National Youth Service by the first administration. Otherwise, the government can use the army, can use the police, can use anything at their disposal to unleash violence if they want.
Okay, but let's go to the people who initiated this.
Right.
Minister Ketsi Coventry and the Minister of Defense or military war veterans. What is the link between these two? Couldn't they just do it through the Minister of Youth without putting the Minister of Defense?
Thank you so much for a revolutionary question. There's these two parties. Okay, in short, governmental departments or ministries are all interlinked. They didn't mention even the Minister of Finance, but the Minister of Finance is involved because it will also allocate funds for that. I mean, all the ministries, remember, they are made to save the government. So the youth, obviously, they are under the Ministry of Youth. The Ministry of, war veterans and is linked because they are the ones who also in national security, defense of the country, and discipline. No department in the country must have discipline more than the army. And also the training, although I'm not that sure of the training, but I know that it has got some military, some basic or elementary military training. So I think the Minister of Defense must be part of the training, because discipline normally comes from the military, and these youngsters, for you to be graduates of the national service, you need to be stronger. They need to be physical exercises and discipline. So I think they are also part of it in terms of training, because for you to mitigate disasters, you need to be courageous. You need to be more like a soldier. But the national youth are not in national army; they are community army. So I think they also get a lot of their modules are also having a lot of military modules.
Okay, but the last National Youth Service was characterized by lack of discipline among the National Youth participants themselves. So I want to go back to my question on the safeguards. How do you prevent such a program that you and the minister, you're saying this is a good program? How do you prevent it from turning into something that can become a problem?
Thank you so much. The minister is saying the minimum age is 18 years up to 35, meaning the youngest person in the training camp is 18 years old. And the Constitution of Zimbabwe under the Minister of Justice comes back to say someone who is 18 years old is an adult who is allowed to make decisions of relationships, sexual relationships. And now legally these people are allowed to have sex. Now we had some scandals in the previous administration, that there was too much sexual abuse and sexual immorality in camps, and hunger and whatsoever. Since it was problems which were experienced and or so-called, I mean, I think they must have put some cushion, some checks and balances to them. If then nothing has been put in place to safeguard this, then I think it would be unfortunate. But the previous scandals we had in the grapevine and must be seriously avoided.
Okay. Other countries, do they have such a program in the region? Do you have any examples?
Yeah, the National Youth Service is done in so many countries. Okay, I'll give a United States of America as an example. Why I'm giving this as an example? Being a military of military background in America is a pride. I mean, they even the government officials, opposition, ruling party, on most prestigious events, whether party events or national events, the introduction normally has got something to do with the troops, the welfare of our troops, and it's military veterans, and the troops in America. It's something of high pride and honor. So National Youth Service, it's not just the training of the youth. It could be investing respect in the army. Like in America, you can even serve for a certain period and even resign. And even right now, the current Secretary for Defense in US, under the current administration of President Joe Biden, the Congress he forwarded a candidate of a general who was a serving general, and the Congress had to amend to vote and allow an amendment for a serving general to be a minister. But in other countries like Zimbabwe, it will be something like corruption or how can you take a serving general? So it shows confidence in the army and because the National Youth Service, to me, I can say it's a community military.
Okay, right. I want us to go to the questions. There are so many questions about this program, and I want to go there because it's very important. The first question I want you to answer is, why was the program terminated before? Have the issues been resolved? That was from Elton. Elton asked a number of questions, but I think you've answered most of them. This one is not answered.
Okay. The people must understand, my leadership, my learned leader, Elton, must understand that when the second administration came into power, there was no kind of, what can I say? I can say there was no period like of knowing that maybe in 3 years they're going to take over and then table all their programs. They came into power. It was a quick way, and now they are implementing their programs, because you implement programs in response to the challenges. Zimbabwe is under neo-colonization. Zimbabwe is under attack. And the narrative is sanctions, sabotage the economy, sabotage the reputation of the government, and so that the mantra that must gain momentum is ZANU-PF must go, ED must go. And all these attacks are done for a certain political party to take over. So it's then the duty of the government for national cohesion it's the duty of the government for patriotism. Hence, this National Youth Service is accompanied by the patriotic bill.
Okay, I think we'll talk about the patriotic bill next week. I haven't seen it, so I hope that someone will give me that patriotic bill. The next question is for me, and I want to answer that quickly. That one is saying, Gambakwe, you're too negative about the program. Why? Mr. Jonassi, do you know why I'm so unhappy or a bit negative about this program?
I don't know.
Okay, in my village, in Masvingo, that was around 2008, in between.
Yes.
There were the national youths, they established a base near my house.
Yeah.
They would go in and they would live in the base at the top of the mountain. And I was working in Harare. I was working for a bank in Harare. And so for me to go to my village, my mother told me that I must buy a ZANU-PF card because I wouldn't be able to travel from Harare to my village. If they saw me in between, anyone could just, there were roadblocks that were being set up by these young guys. And if they saw you and they stopped you, they could do anything to you at that particular point because you do not have a ZANU-PF card. So I'm actually a member of ZANU-PF in a way because my mother bought me a ZANU-PF card between 2000 and I don't know what year it was. I think it was 2001. Or she bought me a ZANU-PF card, which I used to carry around with me in my car, just to be safe from these young guys.
Okay.
One day, I drove to my village, and I think it was just before the elections, and I parked my car near their base. I didn't know that was a base there. I parked my car. And their job was to monitor that there's no car that comes in that neighborhood, which is not known, because this could be people trying to recruit the locals.
Okay.
So when I came back, I found a group of people getting ready to burn my car. I think, Samuel, you've got your answer.
Okay.
Do you think I'm justified to be worried about these guys?
Yeah, you are justified to be worried. But as I said earlier on, that it was an abuse of a noble cause, and time will tell the doubting Thomases, the fearing Thomases, that this is a good cause. I think time is the state witness.
Okay, you think the current government can do better than the previous government of Mugabe in managing these young people when they are in the communities?
Yeah, I think because the biggest resources in Zimbabwe is not actually the minerals and the land. The biggest natural resource in Zimbabwe is the human capital. So they by turning the youth into a resource, into adding value, I think the government is doing well, because our youth are brongo addicts, sex addicts, because they are, after graduating from high school, from tertiary universities, they don't have anything to do and they are bored. I think by utilizing their energy, it's a good way to make them progressive citizens. But abusing of that, the National Youth Service entity is a different ballgame together. People must know that if the youth are violent, it's an abuse of the service by the government. As I said earlier on, that no matter there's no National Youth Service, if the government wants to go rogue, they go violent, They can use the police, they can use the army, they can use the CIO, they can use, they've got a lot of tools at their disposal if they want to be violent.
Okay, why do they need to wear a uniform?
Thank you. Thank you. As I said, the National Youth Service is a force, but it's a community force. So wearing uniforms, you remember when you wear a uniform, there must be a force number. There must be, in that way, it's good for coordination, for structuring, and for identification. So that is some opportunists, they won't take advantage and abuse the service, because anyone can say, I'm a National Youth Service. We know that there are spate of robberies in the country right now, and some misguided youth can take advantage and rob the communities or companies, pretending that they are National Youth Service graduates.
Okay, you are being challenged here. There are two people who said you did not answer the question on which countries in Southern Africa have got the same program. Botswana, South Africa, Zambia, Malawi, Namibia. Do we have any country there with the National Youth Service?
Okay, at the end now, I can't say at the end, but we should not narrow this discussion and narrow this cause into, because remember, the government programs are not done with a template from any country. Let us assume there's no national service in any country. The thing is, are we formulating our own programs? And the right to formulate our own programs and implement is what makes us Zimbabwe. So we are very independent. We are a sovereign state. We are not, every country formulates policy and implement policy in mitigation and in response to challenges of that nation or state. So Zimbabwe, Botswana, South Africa, we face different challenges. We are under attack. And Zimbabweans must know that a government that is at loggerheads with the West is defending the sovereignty. Countries, Botswana, we know, for example, Botswana has been a British protectorate. They never shed blood for their independence. We know that there's a US military base in Botswana. And then the Americans, the British they are one family. The Americans are British people. And people must know that Botswana to me, Botswana is partially a sovereign state. And South Africa, we know why Mandela is so globally, the name is trending. And because when the more you are loved, your love of the West translates into the amount of selling out.
Okay, let's go to marketing and packaging.
Yeah,
I saw a lot of comments that Minister Ketsi Coventry must be put on the sanctions list.
All right.
Because of her support for this program. What can the government do to properly market this National Youth Service and to get the buy-in of the public?
I think those who want the minister to be on sanctions list must be enrolled. They must join the first enrollment of the National Youth Service, so that it seeks to instill a sense of identity and pride, national interest in them. That's why I said, us as opposition leaders of Zimbabwe, we are fashioned into rejecting anything that is progressive, because we are afraid. We want to, as opposition, we are not buying wheelchairs for the disabled. We are not creating a bursary for talented students, gifted students who are poor. We are not doing anything as opposition to including myself as Tinashe Jonassi. I am not doing anything to help move the country forward, except to criticize, to demonize the ruling party and the government. So that is that is the nature of us as opposition. Hence, this is the motivation of the National Youth Service, so that there's national pride, there's national cohesion, and yeah. So I think we are poisonous as opposition.
Okay, but should the government not do better in terms of marketing and packaging programs? Do you think right now Minister Kensi Coventry has done enough to tell people why she supports a National Youth Service, why it's going to be different, how she's going to make it a different program? Or she has just announced it through the Minister of Information and left people to wonder?
Thank you. There is no, I don't think there's need to spend money advertising. Why I'm saying that? Because this is a national product that is citizens must look for. To me, it's vice versa. It's citizens to advertise it, because the government obviously is using the public space, like the national broadcasters, national media, and we know that I think in Zimbabwe the radio is the biggest medium of communication. And also online. Our radio stations are online, the press, the print, electronic media like ZBC TV. I think that they're obviously, the government is represented in parliament, in local government, in provinces. The government is represented everywhere. And I think, obviously, we are even outside the country, me and you, but we are also knowing about this and we are discussing this. And fellow citizens in the diaspora who might be listening to us are also going to talk about it. I think with the digital platforms and the local media in Zimbabwe, even us as opposition who reject everything the government is implementing, by also spreading this, although in the negative gear, we are also generating curiosity and promoting it, So I think, and those who are going to be enrolled, their families are going to follow it through. And when they come, the first graduates are going to be assigned in different communities and also raise our awareness and physically on one-on-one. I think it's not something that can be packaged and branded well instantly, but it's a process to change the national poisonous mindset. It's a process, and it requires a lot of strategies, intelligence, and a lot of implementation and methodology.
Okay, so on my side, what I would want to see is, obviously, this is 2021. We're leading up to the election. I would really be concerned about how people will be able to campaign and go in the villages during the 2023 elections. And also, now we've got upcoming by-elections. Is this not going to... Do you see any problem with this in terms of the elections?
Okay, thank you. I think the biggest problem is that anything the government of Zimbabwe is doing is taken as suspicious, because as an opposition myself, we don't have programs as opposition. What we do is to sit sunbathing, we are commentators of the government of Zimbabwe. ZANU-PF or the government of Zimbabwe is on the ground doing what they are doing, and the board and clueless opposition parties in Zimbabwe, including myself, as Tinashe Jonassi, we are commenting like soccer, like the horses. So we have got a bored and clueless opposition which stand into a government commentators. That's the biggest problem.
Okay, Mr. Tinashe Jonassi, President of IDEO Zimbabwe. This has been a very, very interesting discussion. I'm going to be following this story, and obviously I'll be inviting you to tell us more. And when I get to Zimbabwe next month, I'm going to ask Minister Ketsi Coventry to give us an interview on this. I think this is going to be a defining policy or change, the introduction of the National Youth Service. I don't think it's going to be a small thing. I think going into 2023, this is going to be the biggest game changer. This is my thinking. I don't know. I know you said this is good, but to me, I think it's going to be a game changer. It's not going to be the same. 2018 and 2023 is going to be different from what I can see. So I want us to bring this to an end. And as I said, you were supposed to come on Monday, but I had electricity cuts for the past 2 days. So it happened at the same time we're supposed to be shooting. Is there anything else you want to talk about that we didn't cover today before we close?
Yeah, no, I hope your electricity cuts were not sanctions or somebody, gesture. All right, it's not gesture. All right. Yeah, I want to emphasize on the issue of elections, the people campaigning. How can people penetrate the rural reach in terms of voters? I think more than 70% of voters are in the rural area. This national youth, the recruitment is not there's no demand. The demand for a ZANU-PF party cards. Opposition, ZANU-PF youth, everyone. As long as you have got a proof, at 18 years, obviously, you must have a national ID. I think so. Everyone is free to join. You can go as the MDC, as opposition. Obviously, you will still graduate as opposition, but you are going to be instilled national interest to know that Zimbabwe comes first. Then your political party may be second, yourself may be third. This is national pride. This is a national identity. So we need national interest. We need to understand, to counter anti-Zimbabwe narratives and protect our country. Zimbabwe, it's for Zimbabweans. So we don't need to look in the US. The former president, Comrade Donald Trump, is right now fighting the current president politically. He is not going. He is not looking for international media to demonize the current administration. He's not doing that. He's proud to be in America. He's staying in America. He's not flying around. He has got the monies to fly around the world in his own private jet. He can do that without donors, but he's not doing that. He's not coming to Zimbabwe and buy and sell his narrative that the US now is Chino Chaora. He's not doing that. So why can't we take a leaf out of that?
Okay, Mr. Tinashe Jonassi, always a pleasure talking to you. And I think we should end it here. And we'll be back again on Monday next week. I think there's a number of topics.
And I think I would apply this. I will send an application. Maybe I might be invited on the Sunday, on the 18th of 18 April.
Okay, it's fine. If I'm invited, I'll also be there to broadcast what is happening. So let's see what happens. But I'm sure there's a lot. This weekend is action-packed. There is also the issue of the Commonwealth. There's the issue of the patriotic bill. We haven't covered a lot of things. I think we need to come back and cover those issues. Thank you very much, Mr. Jonassi, for joining, and I'll see you again very, very soon.
It's my pride and honor to be on Zimbabwe Media.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.